पिछले 16 सालों से चल रहे इस विशाल कारवां में हर साल दुनिया के विभिन्न हिस्सों से तमाम भाषाओं से नए नए लेखक, अनुवादक, प्रकाशक, हर तरह के किताब प्रेमी साथ जुड़ते आ रहे हैं और साहित्य का यह महाकुंभ, ये हमारा कथा सरित सागर निरंतर बड़े से बड़ा होता जा रहा है।
The 2023 Jaipur Literature Festival has been, in a word, spectacular.
I think the book gives a kind of satisfaction which nothing else does.
एक शख्स से ये जो दर्द की बातें करता है जैसे सिर्फ उसी का है ये, शायद उसकी अपनी ही ईजाद है ये और अपनी सिफत बना ली है। शायद वो शायर है, शायद वो शायर है।
Jaipur Literature Festival is really special because it's very concentrated, and not only, it's the most poetical festival in the world, the most vivid festival, and I think also the most intellectual, because you have people from all over the world.
It's like, you know, that slow release pill which makes your fever better by slow release in your body. The ideas actually osmotically keep fermenting in your brain. If the festival is able to achieve that for such a large number of people, I think it's more than fulfilling its promise.
इसीलिए मैं कई बार कहता हूँ दोस्तों, मंजिल मिलेगी भटक कर ही सही, मंजिल मिलेगी भटक कर ही सही, गुमराह तो वो है जो घर से निकले ही नहीं।
I brought my daughter here when I came to the festival for the second time. She was 3 and she'll be joining me in a bit. She's 13 now, and that's how things have changed, that's how things have grown, and that's how the festival has grown on all of us.
So baby, don't hold me back like a warm wind.
This feels to have its own character. It's not an offshoot of some European festival. It's not something that's been plonked here from somewhere else. It's organic. It feels very much like India. I love this place.
We come here with a certain vision, then we listen to people. They have their different ideologies, different patterns of thinking. We feel that, yes, the world is beyond our thinking.
And it's mind-blowing to go to a session you know nothing about and come back learning so much about it.
It has put Jaipur on the world map, right? People get to experience the culture, the heritage, and the idea of India at this pink city of Jaipur.
They're probably attracted not just because it's a literature festival, but it's also a really exciting, cool space to be.
But now I see such a diverse group of people, and I'm even more happier because it gives us a place to also network and talk to people, learn about their experiences.
The handmade things that we get to buy here, I think they are very unique, just like Jaipur is.
You always see a lot of young people here, so it gives you the idea that the younger generation is reading and meeting writers. Like, I didn't have the chance when I was growing up, so I feel happy for the younger people.
If you see tears in my eyes and if you feel a lump in my throat, it's there, because it's that of happiness, gratitude and humility that, hey, you really want me after 53 years. I can't do without you, and you can't either do without me. JLF, we're made for each other.
to hear the different ranges from across India of different traditions and different cultures, and to have that kind of performance component of the festival as part of the literary component is a really significant addition.
Today, the Heritage Night has been absolutely mesmerizing. There are no words that can describe it.
So it was surreal. I don't remember what my life was for those few hours that I was here. You know, I felt like I'm somewhere else in another parallel universe, completely elevating. Yeah, surreal is the word.
This evening, I feel like a king, you know. I feel like a king because I'm literally trying to imagine and feel the vibe.
They come here to attend the Literature Fest, so music is a bonus to them. And then if we add that with a lot of philosophy, that's what every musician relates to music as philosophy here. It's just not a bunch of musical notes or rhythmic notes, you know.
आप इतने बड़े स्टेज में आपको मौका मिल रहा है, तो आप क्या बात कर रहे हैं, आप क्या कह रहे हैं। तो आज हमने जो भी हमने बात करी वो दिल से की, जो इन्होंने कहा कि प्रेम मिला है।
अब इसके लिए 1 साल वेट करना पड़ेगा. So that is like really, do we have to really wait for another year to be here again? Amazing experiences we've had.
JLF International Editions have a very special connectivity with London and its deep literary legacy. June 2024 marks the 11th year of our festival in the City of Words.
And so we could not be more proud to have weekends and events like this, where we're going to range widely, but frequently inspired by the collections we hold.
As Buddha says, Jivan Dukh hai, life is tragedy.
That is the core, I think, what tragedy gives us, a reminder that as much as you laugh, you'll cry, and vice versa, as much as you cry, you'll laugh.
Marriage is a very complicated thing to write about.
The quality of the sessions, the commitment of the speakers, and also the excitement that the audience bring. This is a wonderful reenactment of Jaipur in London.
We're going to talk about the challenges that libraries are facing today. We're going to put some of those challenges in a historical context.
But history, by its nature, is much more porous.
And I love being able to see your academic heroes in person, you know, being able to hear them within the room and to see the way in which they command the room. It's just magical.
I think coming here would enrich your experience, vastly your knowledge, and I would not miss it for anything.
JLF at the British Library will bring books and ideas, poetry and music alive for readers and book lovers. We come together with our shared narratives and celebrate the human spirit. We try to understand our changing world. For we are each other's stories.
Your Excellency, ladies and gentlemen, friends and partners, my name's Carol Black, and it's my great pleasure as Chair of the Board of the British Library to welcome you to the library this evening for our celebrations, which opens the Jaipur Literature Festival in London, marking its 11th year in London, as you've just heard, and the 8th year at the British Library. And can I just say, we are so delighted to have you back and to have the festival here. As you all know, JLF has become a unique phenomenon in world culture, a true festival of ideas and words, sounds and colour, and people of all ages and backgrounds that burst into life for 6 days every January in Jaipur. Its scale, ambition and positivity are without parallel. Here in London, it is a sincere pleasure for the British Library to present just a small taster of this wonderful event. The connections between Britain and South Asia are long, rich and flourishing, spanning family and community, trade and learning, and of course, the arts and culture. The library looks after some of the most significant collections from the region outside the subcontinent itself. And our work to share these with the world through exhibitions and digitization are among our most important ongoing programs. Recently, collaboration with Mumbai's CSMVS Museum, we held a joint exhibition on early photography and archaeology in Western India, showcasing Hampi, a UNESCO World Heritage Site, and the British Library, together with the British Council India, has started a one-year programme of skills and knowledge exchange and research aiming to foster new engagement with the digitised collections of India early printed material. We very much hope that many of you will have the opportunity to explore our rich programme of engagement. Although here in London, JLF, here at the British Library, is much smaller in scale than its parent festival, the quality and range of the sessions being presented tomorrow and Sunday are equally fine. I would like to congratulate Namita Gokal and William Dalrymple for another exceptional programme full of brilliant writers and enticing themes. We are thoroughly looking forward to it all. I would like to thank Sanjoy Roy, Managing Director of Teams Work Arts, the producers of JLF, and all his tremendous, dedicated and talented team for bringing this event to our library, and also the numerous other supporters and partners for everything they have done to make it possible. I also want to thank our own teams here at the British Library and colleagues in the making of and producing the festival and reception this year. It is now my greatest pleasure to introduce Sanjoy Roy himself and invite him to the stage. Thank you.
Dame Carol Black, Rolly Keating, High Commissioner, His Excellency Vikram Doraiswamy, the Councillor of Tourism from the city of Valladolid, our partners in Spain, which we will be going to next week, writers, authors, excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, welcome, as Dame Carol Black said, to the 11th JLF International here at the British Library. This morning, Punita and I wandered out to the City of London, thanks to Dr. Anu Kumar and London Rising Lark, which ran a beautiful walk, taking us through much of the East India Company history, but in a dramatized way. It was quite incredible that at the end, Punita was actually crying at the very end of the show. What it showed us was the not-so-good bits of history and some of the even worse bits of history that we tend to not focus on, but the relationship between the UK and India. But I must say, in more recent times, it's been balanced, and we've given it back to you. We send to you chicken tikka masala, which thankfully we don't have in our own country. More importantly, when I took a flight out 2 days ago from India, typically in Delhi, when you step out in summer, we look at the temperatures and it's roughly between 42 to 44 degrees centigrade. And we're all, oh my God. This year, it hit 49.5 degrees centigrade just in Delhi. Now that's untenable, as we all know. The crisis of the planet is here and now. People like us are not really impacted because we go from air-conditioned homes to air-conditioned cars to air-conditioned offices. But those who have no place to go to, those who live on the streets, those who have no roof over their heads, or they have a corrugated tin roof, like our street children at Salam Balak Trust, they suffer every day. We at Teamwork and at the Jaipur Literature Festival, not just in India, but across the world, have now taken a pledge that we will ensure that every one of our festivals is waste zero. We've been doing this with an organization called Scrap to be able to educate those people in the city, the local city officials as to how to do this. We've been working with Renew to make ourselves energy neutral, and this year we offset all the energy from the 17 generators and the 21 hotels that we used in India. And with Earth Day, an organization with whom I'm connected in many ways, we've been doing plantation projects across the Sahara and in many parts of India to bring down our carbon footprint. Our effort through every one of our festivals is to educate all of us, but young people as well. Because if we don't take responsibility for the planet will continue. The planet isn't going anyplace anytime soon. But we certainly, as humanity, will perish. In places which are poor, much of Africa, much of Southeast Asia and Asia, we will feel the maximum impact. But that impact you're seeing today across the world. Floods. 3 days ago in Bangalore, they had floods which they hadn't seen in 123 years. Florida and Texas are seeing unbelievable hurricanes. We need to act now, not 2 years or 10 years down the line, but today. And we hope you all will join us in some of this effort. I'm going to leave you with an image. A few days ago, I received a photograph. It was a photograph of a man sitting in a bombed-out home on the first floor in Gaza, and he was juggling. And below him, all of these kids collected, and they were laughing and juggling. Children have a right to education and knowledge. Children have a right to a hot, nourishing meal. Children have a right to a roof over their head. But most importantly, children have a right to dream of a better tomorrow, of a tomorrow that many of us and many of our governments have failed to deliver. Festivals and platforms of knowledge are only one of many ways that we can bring about change. And I'd like to take this occasion on behalf of all of us to thank you all for coming out here year after year and being so supportive and taking the information that we put out here from these amazing considered writers and speakers and taking it out with you. I am going to acknowledge especially Gideon Levy from the Hurrits. I'm not sure where Gideon is. Is Gideon in the room? Gideon is there, and for those of you who've read the Hurrits every day, Gideon day after day brings you articles showing you some of the horrors of what's been happening in Palestine. Today is the first time that Gideon has left Israel to come and join us here because he realized that it was important to get the word out, and it's important to stop the war. On behalf of all my colleagues at Teamwork, Sharupa and Kritika, who produced JLF London, and Preeta and Ankur, and everybody else at Teamwork, just to say a big thank you to the British Library, to Dame Carol Black, and to Roly Keating. 6 or 7 years ago, Roly, Jamie, and I met at the then Indian High Commissioner's residence in their home, and Navdeep Sarna was our High Commissioner. And over cocktails, we set up this plot to come to the British Library. And it's been a delightful plot. It's been a very successful plot, and we'd really like to celebrate it. Roly, to you, to all your colleagues, to Jamie, to Conrad, to John, thank you all for being so supportive, and we hope to be back again and again. And a special thank you to Roly, who's recently threatened to step down from the position that he's occupied for 12 years. So we may not have him here as the head of the library next year, but I hope he will continue to be with us, not just in spirit, but with his physical presence. So Roly Keating, thank you so much from all of us. May I now introduce to you a festival co-director, writer of 22 books, winner of the Sahitya Academy Award, Namita Gokhale, whose own book is celebrating 40 years of it being republished, Paro. Namita works tirelessly with all our colleagues in the programming team and with William Dalrymple, who will be here tomorrow, to put together this extraordinary festival of rich offerings. Namita.
Dear friends, Sanjoy is a hard act to follow because he just skips from subject to subject and speaks from his heart. And me, in Hindi, some of us say, "Hame likhit mein chahiye," means we want it in writing. And I got a little prepared speech, but before that, he talked about the right to dream. And I'm reminded that in 2013, the great Indian writer, no longer with us now, Mahashweta Devi, in her inaugural speech, she said, the right to dream should be the first and most fundamental human right. And that is really the heart of our festival, giving people, children, older people, everybody, the right to dream. Thank you for being here with us. International Editions have a special connectivity with London and its deep literary legacy, which especially in India is so interconnected that the High Commissioner was a special guest in our most successful Wodehouse series here, because it's a complete mystery how P.G. Wodehouse remains the emblematic British writer in India. And in fact, Shashi Tharoor, not here today, can read out pages and pages of Tharoor, of Wodehouse, just from memory. So this is a city of words, and words in the language we speak. Though, of course, next week,
we will be in Spain and having our first truly bilingual sessions. And I'm so grateful to see our colleagues from Spain here, from the city of Valladolid, where we do simultaneously embrace Hindi, last year Sanskrit, English, and Spanish, and the other Spanish languages this year. So that's really a big leap forward for our festival. So we'll bring you books and ideas, poetry and music, and these themes and ideas, this wide canvas has a grid of connectivities that open up new understandings about our ever-changing world, our fast-changing world. The opening session of this evening looks at words and moving images, text and visuality, and the porous and permeable spaces between books and film. By film, I mean all aspects of the new vistas opened out in what is loosely called film, with Shekhar Kapur, Vikas Swarup, and Sarah Phelps in conversation with the inimitable Shravani Basu. Now, it's election season around the world. India has yet again established the integrity of its democracy and the commitment of its electorate. The idea and spirit of democracy must endure for the survival of our planet just as much as the environment or any more thing, because only when there's cooperation between human beings and their voices heard that anything will ever get done. We have a distinguished panel with us for a session on democracy on trial. And then there's the session on Ideas of India, which has a range of views and opinions on the contradictions and the polarities, the rich and persistent diversity, and the proud pluralism of India. And then there are sessions like Catherine Schofield, Richard David Williams, and Saif Mahmood on the classical traditions of Hindustani music and Mughal India. Then there's, of course, our friend Gideon Levi and Christina Lamb, another friend of the festival, Selma Dabag again, and Shashank Bengali, speaking of the multiple flashpoints and tragic outcomes of a world at war with itself. Roger Highfield, who's been so supportive of the festival at so many levels, his recent biography of Stephen Hawking takes us on a behind-the-scenes tour of a genius at work. Nobel laureate Sir Venki Ramakrishnan discusses his important new book, important because it speaks to all of us, Why We Die, The New Science of Aging and the Quest for Immortality. There is so much more spread across this weekend of intellectual delight. There's laughter and comedy, food and the intersections of memory, empire and imperialism, and the very fast-changing map of the world. Mary Beard on the ancient Romans, Mishal Hussain and Anita Anand on Broken Threads, the partition of India. Murders, mysteries, and tales of the incredible with Liz Nugent, Shravani Basu, and B. Rowlett. We talk about the Bollywood state of mind. How can we do India without having Bollywood with us? And with all its wonders and mysteries. We have sessions showcasing the unique multilingual legacy of South Asia. Anuradha Sarma Pujari speaks about her book, My Poems Are Not for Your Ad Campaign, translated from the Assamese. Arunava Sinha introduces us to the delights of Bangla literature. And we have a very famous Hindi writer in the audience, our friend Anamika, but she's not in the program, but she's part of the festival. We listen in to Booker Prize winning writer Paul Lynch. Elif Shafak tells us of her new book, There Are Rivers in the Sky. Maggie O'Farrell speaks of her new novel, The Marriage Portrait. This is just a sampler. I'm out of breath and out of time to list out the whole voyage of discovery. My co-director, William Dalrymple, our producer, Sanjoy Roy, and I bring a diversity of passions and perspectives to these sessions. There's so much more in what promises to be one of our most magnificent editions ever, and hope to see you this magical weekend as well. Special thanks to Dame Carol Black, and to Roly Keating, and to Jamie Andrews, Conrad Butman, John Fawcett, and B. Rowlett, who's been helping the festival since her years in India, and to Vikram Doraiswamy, for believing in the life of the mind. Went from the heart. And gratitude to so many of the others, too many to name there, for their consistent support. And thank you, namaskar, and Jai Hind.
Last year, as Namita said, the one session that crossed 1 million views pretty quickly was the session on P.G. Wodehouse, starring no less than the High Commissioner of India, Vikram Doraiswamy. We come from the same alumni. He's been a friend forever. Most importantly, he's been a friend of the arts. Ladies and gentlemen, His Excellency, Vikram Doraiswamy.
Thank you very much, Sanjoy, and great pleasure to be here again at the JLF at the British Library. Thank you, Dame Carol Black, for hosting the session here once again. Thank you, Rolly, for all your wonderful friendship for the Literary Festival, for which you've already been thanked, but more than that, for the partnership with India. And I think that, ladies and gentlemen, has been very special. Thank you all for being here. Thank you, Namita, for coming down. To those of you who don't know, of course, in India, since we have such a minuscule population, most of us know each other from well before. And as it happens, Namita, I've known Namita for many years, since her youngest brother and I were at university together. As I said, you know, everybody knows everybody. Ladies and gentlemen, really the question that I always ask myself is, at a situation such as this, first of all, why do we do a literary festival? Why do we do it here? And what, indeed, is the point about a festival of books? Is it something that is an anachronism today? Are all these things anachronisms? And there are several reasons why I believe it is still relevant to read books, to have a cultural literary festival, and of course, to do one here in London. Let's address the do one here in London bit first. Obviously, as Sanjoy mentioned, there is the context. It isn't really about bringing coals to Newcastle. It is about celebrating the fact that the idea of discussing ideas is very much something that connects our cultures. And it doesn't harm, of course, that in a nation of multiple languages, we have a modest, by any estimation, 12 to 15% of our population who speak English pretty much as a first language, which gives us a rough yield of about 160 million people who speak English. This, put in terms that diplomats love, essentially makes us the second largest collection of English-speaking people in the world. So there is a relevance, of course, for a literary festival that is in English, but there is a relevance from that perspective to do this here in the UK, as we live in an era of increasing literary awareness across languages. And it's no coincidence that the JLF moves to Valladolid and to Spain, because literary festivals, for them to mean really anything, must celebrate ideas in the languages in which they are germinated. And so, absolutely, a literary festival here makes absolute sense. Why a literary festival at all, of course, is a larger question. And here again, I think, if you were to look at it, there is all of this connectedness of culture that we've had between India and the UK, and all of it is celebrated through the arts. The arts that bring us together in music, through film. Shekhar Kapur is here. Shekhar Kapur is, in many senses, one of the best things you could have got out of the India-UK relationship, for the way he has taken an Indian sensibility to English stories and put them up in Hollywood. What could be a better way of describing the connectedness of our world? But of course, in exchange, you also get some flies that come in with the ointment. And there is a separate era of people a separate, shall we say, a genus of people who are here, who enjoy spending their summers in London for an intimate moment with their money. And I hope many of them will find an opportunity to contribute in that regard to a literary festival, because frankly, that's one of the things that makes it attractive to come to London, particularly in summer. But why books? After all, today we live in a world in which you can get William Dalrymple's excellent insights on history on podcasts. You can watch and visualize Elizabeth the First, in this particular case, in Shekhar Kapur's movies. You can listen to the musical exposition of stories across the world. So why books? Why do we still need them? Because there are ideas, stories, and themes that really do not translate quite as well into film or even podcasts. Because when you read things, you read it in voices of your own, and you visualize them to make them your own version, your own creation of that particular set of thoughts. And of course, since diplomats are not known for being original, I will quote to you P.G. Wodehouse. Where's the surprise in that? And I will explain why I'm doing this. I'm quoting from my favorite Wodehouse book, which is Leave It to Smith. And he describes this lovely scene where Lord Emsworth is contemplating the presence of his second son, who is a source of great grief to him. So he says, the door opened and Beach the butler entered, a dignified procession of one. My son Frederick, said Lord Emsworth, rather in the voice with which he would have called attention to the presence of a slug among his flowers. Now, put yourself in a position where you look at a room and you describe it as, it contained a table with red cloth, a chair, 3 stuffed birds in a glass case on the wall, and a small horsehair sofa. A depressing, musty scent pervaded the place, as if a cheese had recently died there in painful circumstances. If that, ladies and gentlemen, were to be put on film, it would just not, pardon me, Shekhar, pass muster. In the case of cheese, definitely not. Because what you have captured, each of you, is the thought of a room with grim furniture and the terrible scent of overripe cheese. No film can ever cover that for you. And if you think of it, there have been repeated attempts to capture Wodehouse and his absolutely brilliant use of English on film. There was Wodehouse Playhouse in the 60s. There was Jeeves and Wooster with the absolutely brilliant Stephen Fry and Hugh Laurie. And none of that, due respect to Stephen Fry and Hugh Laurie, who are absolute icons of theater and of film, but none of that could absolutely capture the world of books. Because it is, ladies and gentlemen, the world of ideas and the voice in your own mind that you heard. Thank you, therefore, to the JLF for opening us up to the world of ideas and to be able to have that quiet moment where you listen to your own voice tell you stories in somebody else's words. And thank you for bringing Vikas Swarup here, who is a distinguished purveyor of both books and screenplays for movies. Thank you very much.
Vikram Doraiswamy, as usual, absolutely brilliant. Many of you know that there have been troubles across arts institutions and festivals, not just in the UK, but across the world, about the color of money and what it means to take money from A or B or C institution. It's something that many of us discuss very often and try and find some sort of coming together solution, which, needless to say, is very difficult. We ourselves at Teamwork Arts have been struggling for a while to see how we can find somebody who understands the value of the arts. And very recently, in fact, earlier this year, we came together with AU Bank, one of India's fastest growing new banks that was established almost a decade ago. And Sanjay Agarwal believed in the mission of the arts and came on board as one of our new partners. Ladies and gentlemen, Sanjay Agarwal, the Managing Director and Chairperson of AU Bank.
So, namaskar, good evening. Thank you, Sanjay Saab, for your generosity as always. So, I'm the man out here because I come from banking and finance, and But I believe that, none of you know about banking and finance. So so I do not know about literature and anything, The only connection which I have today is two things. One, in JLF, J starts from Jaipur, right? So I come from Jaipur. And, because London, I strongly believe that it is a city for the citizen of the world, right? So London is my favorite city. And so I think these are two connections why I'm here, and I believe that this is 11th edition, and I'm not want to know that what happened in 10th editions till now, but still want to learn and want to immerse in this whole literary world. The way the JLF has brought life to Jaipur, I don't know how many people would have been in Jaipur from last, 20 years now. I'm the product of Jaipur and the whole effect of Jaipur Literature Festival there in their whole ecosystem. And I believe that, JLF London would be doing same thing, I'm also thankful to British Library for hosting us from last 6 years, And of course, sir, His Excellency Vikram Saab, thank you so much for your whole speech, I understand a little bit, but but we learn from your recording, And Shekhar Saab, I'm a huge fan of you, from your Masoom days to Mr. India, right? Still looking for Mr. India, right? To make India Mr. But thank you so much, the entire teamwork team, to accept me as your partner in your journey. It's an amazing mission. I strongly believe that literature and art, can change the world. And at AU also, we stand for the Badlao Humse Hai, which says that, change is from ourselves, right? So good luck to you guys and, entire whole 3-day festival, and we'll learn a lot from everything, whatever is offering to us in next 2 days, So, but want to invite to everybody in Jaipur, my own pink city, and we'll host you maybe next February, the JLF, but that is separate, but everybody's invited to my home for banking dinner, right? Thank you so much. Namaskar. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Sanjay ji. And now, ladies and gentlemen, without any further ado, allow me to invite our wonderful speakers and guests and open our first session for this evening. Lost and Found in Adaptations. Shekhar Kapur, Vikas Swarup, and Sarah Phelps in conversation with Shrobini Basu. From Bandit Queen to Elizabeth, the Golden Age, Shekhar Kapur's eclecticism is evident in his many splendors. Vikas Swarup's debut brought us Slumdog Millionaire, ensuring his place in popular imagination as an acute observer of life. Celebrated screenwriter, producer, and playwright Sarah Phelps has worked on EastEnders, adaptations of Agatha Christie's And Then They Were None, and The Witness for the Prosecution. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Shekhar Kapur. Vikas Swarup is a former diplomat and best-selling author who gained global recognition with his debut novel, Q&A, adapted into the Oscar-winning Slumdog Millionaire. His second novel, Six Suspects, was made into The Great Indian Murder on Disney. His books have been translated into 47 international languages. Ladies and gentlemen, Vikas Swarup. Sarah Phelps is an award-winning screenwriter and has adapted the works of Charles Dickens, Oliver Twist, Great Expectations, and Agatha Christie, And Then They Were None, and The Witness for the Prosecution, Ordeal by Innocence, The ABC Murders, and Pale Horse, among others. Ladies and gentlemen, Sarah Phelps. In conversation with Shrobini Basu. Shrobini is a journalist and Sunday Times best-selling author. Her books include the critically acclaimed The Mystery of the Parsi Lawyer and Victoria and Abdul, now a major Oscar-nominated motion picture starring Dame Judi Dench. Ladies and gentlemen, Shrobini Basu. Just a couple of house rules. Please put your phones on silent mode. We hope you enjoy the session.
Wow. Thanks so much. Thank you, JLF. sorry, while I do this. It's just wonderful to be back. So thank you, Sanjoy, Namita, Willie is not here now, for doing this every year, and Rolly and everybody else. It's a pleasure to come back to a place that I'm often working, slaving away on the books. And what a panel today. I mean, this is amazing. Between the introductions have been done, so I'm not going to do that. But take this in. In this panel, 20 Oscar nominations. And several BAFTAs, Golden Globes, not even going there. 10 Oscar wins. It's just a privilege to be here. And of course, we're talking about one of my favorite subjects, adaptation films. I'm just going to give you a little perspective of some of the things that happen in the film world. So as you heard, Vikas, of course, Slumdog Millionaire. Shekhar is, well, we all know Shekhar's films, and Sarah has the magic touch, and she brings us these Christmas thrillers with Christie and Dickens. And there's a little pecking order in this, because we authors, Vikas and I think we're at the bottom of the food chain, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, we agree on that.
Absolutely.
Sarah, you're a little above us. And Shekhar.
You've never, if you think that, you've never had anything to do with the Agatha Christie literary estate.
And Shekhar, of course, is top of the food chain, along with the producers and the actors, the Judi Dench's and the Kate Blanchetts. But when it comes to adaptation, it's another, there's another story here. So here's something I was told again. So I've had one film made and learnt a lot, and it was an experience. So they told me that there's an order again. So the authors, like us, we write our books. If you're very lucky, it's optioned, goes out. And then the screenplay writers, Sarah and others, they pick it up, they read the book, they close it, that's it. Throw it in the bin and say, okay, we're going to give this our own take. And then Sarah writes, the screenplay writers, they write their thing. And then it goes to the director, who reads it, closes it, puts it in the bin, and says, I'm going to give it my own take. And then the producer comes along, and goodness knows what else. So my first question is to Sarah. How often have you put Christie in the bin? And what do you do? Jokes aside, how do you take it? How do you bring your own touch to it?
Well, very personally speaking, I have worked with a living author, but I always tend to read. I don't look at any other adaptation, even when they're books that have been, and I've done Oliver Twist and Great Expectations, and the Christie books, of course, have been done over and over and over and over again, and Dickens has been done over and over and over again. And as much as possible, I don't go near anybody else's adaptation. I'm not interested. I want to know the book, because the book is where the author, the writer, is at their most raw. Mm-hmm. When I was doing Witness for the Prosecution, the original idea was that the estate said, oh, well, you can do the play. But the play was written about, the short story is written in about 1926, and the play is written a long time after. So that I don't want the play. The play is the later idea. The play is the time when she's got to the point where she's sort of edited and refined and adapted her own idea for a different medium, and I want the first thought. So I always, you can't avoid the musical Oliver, and, Bill Sykes and Nancy and Fagin and all that. You can't avoid that, and I was taken to see it when I was a little girl, but I don't watch any other thing. I just try and think about the pulse of the book, because the pulse of the book tells me what the story is about, and I don't want to see what somebody else thinks the story is about. And I know that might sound dismissive towards other writers. Oh, I don't care. I just want to know what... and it feels like a conversation between me and the author. I think someone like Christie, sorry guys, I'll shut up in a minute and come to you, because I'll be in awe. But with somebody like Christie, where there's a huge, huge authorship of people who are very, very hungry for her work, I think that there is a kind of tension between the book she wants to write and the book she knows her audience wants to read. And I'm really, really interested in that tension. And I tried to focus my adaptations and my response to Christie's work within that tension, so sort of reading it through the filter of that. And now I'm going to stop. Gentlemen.
I'll go to Shekhar and adaptation. So when you are given this big theme, you know, Elizabeth I, history, iconic queen, what do you want to do with it? I mean, what were your first thoughts? And how...
Well, I won't do anything unless I can find myself in it. Very simple. Did I find myself in Elizabeth? Yes. Actually, if any of you really look at Elizabeth, it's Indira Gandhi's story. A girl put on the throne with everybody else thinking, oh, we'll get rid of her. And she won't go. Look at the costume. The idea that why does a woman have to deny her sexuality and her femininity to actually have power over men? I saw Indira Gandhi do that. And then I will do something only if it's still true for modern day audiences. And that is still true for modern day audiences. But when you were talking to us in the room inside and you were saying, adaptation, here's where film goes. Film can be a very, very seductive medium because we have music, we have actors, we have
costume,
we
atmosphere,
have atmosphere, production design, all that. Imagine a book on Elizabeth that ends like this. Last 10 minutes, 15 minutes, Elizabeth. She suddenly says, cut my hair. And to Mozart's Requiem, her hair is being cut. Very seductive. Then she's completely bald, and she looks in the mirror and says to her things, I am become a virgin. Did that ever happen? Of course it didn't.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
And then she puts white makeup on her face, and she comes out, and then says, look, I am married to England. Where did that happen? I'm just surprised that the history buffs didn't take me. Actually, during the making of the film, somebody found out that I shot Kate Blanchett in bed with a guy. And they said, oh my God, this Indian director. And somebody said to me, how would you like it if we said that Gandhi was a non-vegetarian? I said, is that the best you can do? And so, but when the film came out, that's where film becomes so seductive. Everybody accepted it. And you know where that white face came from? The National Portrait Gallery. I said, how can I get there? How do I do that? And how do I make a statement about virginity? So we adapt something that is very close to us and close to modern day audiences. Actually, Sonja, you've just given me, I'm going to write a book. I'm going to write a book called The Very Suitable Cockroach.
Oh, goodness.
For all human beings are gone and cockroaches are suddenly feeling really alone, right? And saying, where did they all go? What were they like? Oh, they got married. And then they said, hang on, we need the rubbish. We used to feed in the rubbish that they created. Thank you. I'll then ask you to make a film of that.
I can remember seeing Elizabeth in the cinema and feeling and honestly, the hairs on the back of my neck. I am become a virgin. Look at me. I am married. And that moment where everybody and then went, oh, this is majesty. This is majesty. And now she is masked. And I'm fascinated by the whole cult of it. And I just thought that moment just... I can remember being electrified in the cinema.
I shot it to Mozart's Requiem. Do me a favor.
What?
Turn the music off, and you'll never feel a thing. That's the seduction of cinema.
In fact, talking of music, so for Golden Age, you then went to Rahman. You got...
No, it's David Hirschfelder and Rahman.
And Rahman, yeah. But, tell us about the choice of Rahman.
Well, I've always tried to bring Rahman, saying, why are you wasting your time? You have one of the greatest geniuses of composition for film ever, and he keeps going back and spends time making silly films. True. Honestly, and then I keep I brought him here for Bombay Dreams with Andrew. I brought him here for Elizabeth. He did some good stuff. But yeah, I think that Rahman understands melody more than anybody I've ever met, ever. So I thought for Golden Age, I'd need some underlying melodies to push the story forward. So I brought Rahman in there.
Right. And talking of Rahman, of course, big in Slumdog Millionaire.
Yep.
So coming to
that was his breakout moment, actually, when he did Jai Ho and,
Yeah.
came onto the Oscar stage, I think. And that's when really his journey with Western Hollywood, began, so to speak.
Yeah. So, Vikas, I remember when you were a diplomat in London and you wrote the book and you launched it, and I still have the signed copy on my shelf. It was called Q&A.
Correct.
At that time, it was a lovely launch, what I remember so many years ago. And at that time, did you have any idea that Danny Boyle would come on board, that this would become this big winner?
Look, BBC asked me this question that, Mr. Swarup, when you were writing this novel, could you visualize it as a film? And my answer was, I couldn't even visualize it as a book. For a first-time author, what are the chances of getting published?
Absolutely.
And, nobody in my family has ever written a novel. My great-grandfather wrote a book called The Theory of Indian Music, and my grandfather wrote some books on legal issues, etc. But, I'm the first person to be a novelist in my family. Yeah. So I had no idea, actually, what the publishing world is all about. And that books even go into translations. I had no idea. And when I wrote this book, I thought it was a very Indian book, which would appeal to a very Indian audience only. It was a book by an insider, and I thought it would appeal only to insiders. So when I went on my first book tour, it was Australia and New Zealand, and a lady walked up to me and said, Mr. Swarup, your novel gave us a big window into India. I was zapped because I never realized that somebody would pick up my book to understand Indian society or culture or anything like that. So that was an eye-opener. And now I realize that when I pick up a book by a Chinese author, for instance, I'm also trying to understand the DNA of Chinese people, whether this book can give me some clues into that. So, but when I wrote this novel, and I wrote it, believe it or not, in 2.5 months when I was posted in London, I had no expectation of success at all. And in fact, that is why I wrote it in complete secrecy. Even my wife did not know I was writing a novel. Because I said, okay, if it works, then I can proclaim it and bring it out into the world. If it doesn't, then nobody knows that I ever tried to. I was a failed writer,
Sure. So
I want to ask, how close is the film to the book?
I would say, look, the USP of the book was the narrative structure.
Sorry,
That is the USP of the book. That, for the first time, somebody is revealing the private life of his protagonist through the public spectacle of a quiz show. Where every question reveals a back layer to his life. So the same narrative structure is adapted exactly in the film. But they changed many of the stories. And when I met, the guys who did the film, the first thing I was told was very categorically, number one, the film will not be called Q&A because there is already a Hollywood film with Nick Nolte called Q&A. And number two, we have a very small budget. So, for instance, you have a big India-Pakistan war in your book. That will not happen. So we will change many of the stories. But I'm making a promise to you. That's what Simon Beaufoy told me. That I will remain faithful to the soul of your novel. So when someone makes a promise that they will remain faithful to the soul of your novel, you can rest assured that the body will get mangled.
Absolutely.
I think that's always a thing that where on occasion, people have, I don't know why, but I think because I'm adapting books that a lot of British people have a particular relationship with, as though this is what Britain truly is. There's a murder on the floor, nobody really minds about it, a policeman turns up and the status quo is returned. Everything goes back to normal. And then I was doing these Christies where people would smoke and swear and take drugs and have sex, and when I did the ABC murders and actually focused on the fact that Poirot is in fact a Belgian refugee, I had a death threats. And it was like, you've ruined my childhood by turning it into your wokery. And I'm like, canonically, Hercule Poirot is a Belgian refugee.
Exactly.
But I think because I got into this when the UK was having this strange and continues to do so, this weird kind of belch of futility that is Brexit and the referendum and these ideas about nationality. And I thought how interesting it would be to go like, right, well, let's look at the language of nationality and let's look at it through the medium of murder mystery. So it was really writing about how we come to find ourselves in 2016 and after, but really we're having a murder mystery, but we're actually not. Honestly, people got so exercised and very angry about that I wasn't sticking to the letter of the novel. And it was like, if I do the letter of the novel, you've got 11 hours of drama and all of them are unwatchable. Yes. Nobody gives a toss. What you've got to do is the spirit. Where is the pulse? Where is the heartbeat? And how to keep it so that the writer is alive. Otherwise, it all just fades into dust.
Yeah.
Anyway,
and a lot of things come from you. I mean, I can just say, Elizabeth, because a lot of you have seen that film, there's a moment where she finds that her lover has betrayed her. And the lover says, well, why don't you kill me? Please kill me. And she says, no, I'd rather keep you alive, so every time I come to court... Oh my God, that's such an idiotic dialogue, but it really works. Every time I come to court, I'm reminded of the dangers of love. That was a line. Guess where that came from?
The Bee Gees?
It came from somebody who called himself Muhammad Ali later, called Cassius Clay.
Really?
And I read somewhere that he used to put up a portrait of Sonny Liston, so that every morning that he would get up,
he would get hyped up.
Sonny Liston and say, "This is the guy."
This is the guy.
That line went to Elizabeth. That's how we work. So I have a little thing that when Danny Boyle came to me one day and said, Shekhar, what do I do with this? And it was Slumdog Millionaire.
Okay.
I don't know India at all. What do I do? I said, can I say it?
Yeah, please.
Danny, tell your own story. It's the only thing to do. Find the story in yourself. That's all we can do as directors.
Yeah.
Otherwise, what do you say to the actor? What do you say to the production designer? You find the story inside yourself.
It's the only thing you can do as a writer. It's the only thing, because if you're going to be sitting there for 18 hours a day for the next 6 months and ignoring your family and your friends and everyone's going to hate you, it has to move in you like a drumbeat. It has to be urgent.
True.
Yeah.
Sarah, you took the step of changing a Christie ending. That was
I did that a lot.
That was gutsy.
Well, it's because the Christie ending made no sense. It was, and I don't think she'd have minded. To be honest with you, with that particular book, I think she'd kind of gone, oh, I don't know. Someone sings a Swedish song and falls off a bench, or I can't work it out. No, and I just thought because I'd been telling something. You know, because I made some quite significant changes to tell a particular story that was threaded through. People got aerated, but you know what? Then something else happened and they forgot about it. So, but I think that you have to sort of, you can take risks. You sometimes, when you found a story within a book, you have to take a risk for that story because that, you know, partially it was there in the novel. And it's about something that you know the writer is invested in, even from her earlier work. So you've got to kind of do something that delivers for the audience who are watching it. And if it's not there in the book, then you have to kind of, I don't know, kick it a little bit and bring out the thing that was there a third of the way through the book.
Yeah. So Shekhar, we were talking in the green room. You're doing something exciting now with AI. I didn't understand anything of it, so do tell us. An AI film, am I right?
I'm using AI to make a film because I understand in another couple of years, people will be prompting films.
Correct.
And the new filmmakers are sitting in Dharavi, which is a slum in Mumbai, learning computer classes. They will learn, there are like tons of AI programs around called Sora, for example. It'll give you a 2-minute film, but you sit on a computer and you prompt it. And then it'll soon give you a half-an-hour film, and you'll sit on a computer and prompt it. Does that take the art of cinema away? No. The art now lies in the prompting of it.
Okay,
but,
so it has actors
and
and
it
writers.
makes it so democratic.
Okay.
Now, you don't have to put up big sets. You don't have to hire Amitabh Bachchan or Shah Rukh Khan. You don't, and everything, and it makes it the easiest thing. And do you know how I discovered it? How many of you have seen Mr. India? So I'm constantly, every day, somebody says, make Mr. India 2. And my cook is listening to these conversations. Then one day he comes to me very shyly and he says, sir, I've written the script for Mr. India 2.
Wow.
So this is 3 months ago. And I said, oh my God, he'll make me bad food if I don't read
exactly.
it. At least I've got to make that pretense that I'll read it. And he brings it to me, and it's pretty good. I've had 20 writers pitching this film to me. It's really good. And I said, where do you get it? How do you do it? He says, oh, on your computer. My computer? I said, oh, where? It's not on my computer. He said, no, there's something that you use called GPT chat.
ChatGPT.
He'd got the script from ChatGPT.
Oh, dear.
And it was just as good or as bad as most writers give it to me. You know, so I realized that it's coming, it's there, it's
You're
always
out of
there.
jobs because
it's a
you
fact.
and I...
The latest programming language is English, because that's the prompt, that's the language in which you write the prompt in, and that's what it is, absolutely.
Gosh, okay. So tell me about your latest. You have a new book coming, and is there a pressure every time that this has to be made into a film?
Kitna doon paisa? Hey, how much?
Look, I'm coming out with a new novel after 10 years. And that, to me, is a bit of a surprise, because I really didn't think that it will take me that long. But actually it did, because the last novel came out in 2013 called The Accidental Apprentice. And then basically I got very busy with my day job, which was being a diplomat. So in fact, Sanjoy asked me this question when we did the preview in Delhi, that, you know, all three of your novels were written when you were posted abroad, and this novel was written while you were posted in India, so what's the difference? I said, no, the biggest difference was that all three novels were written when I was in the job, so I could only write on weekends, but this novel was written when I had retired from the Foreign Service, so that was the difference, I think. But, you know, and then I'm realizing that I am having to be relaunched, because, you know, 10 years is too long a time. People have forgotten what Slumdog Millionaire was and what the other books were, and, you know, you have to make a extra effort. But look, for me, the important thing is I will tell a story as long as I think I have a story worth telling.
Sure.
And then, of course, it'll go out into the world. It's releasing on the 15th of July.
And it's called?
It's called The Girl with the Seven Lives. And
better than Q&A.
Yes, definitely. I think I have also learned, you know, that
how to get a catchy title.
yes, the world we are living in, you know, the most.
Sure.
In fact, my novel opens with the line: "The most valuable thing in the world is not money; it is attention." So you need a title which can get you the attention.
See what I mean?
Wow.
Where did you come up with?
Exactly.
Right. So I believe, can I take questions? I have about 5 minutes left. Should we open up to questions, or do you want to tell me about the film that you would really want to do, or what did you like?
No, let's take questions.
Okay. We can do both. We can do both. Okay. So we can have questions. Don't be shy.
Oh, very
Not all
shy.
these Oscar winners here.
There are lots of hands up.
Here we are. There's a mic, right? Just shout, yeah. Yeah.
My name is Vikas. I'm an Shekhar. Good to meet you. Are you embracing AI as a catalyst for your creativity? Do you sometimes worry that it might make you redundant?
Make me redundant? Yeah.
As a
We're all face redundancy. It'll make everybody redundant if we don't accept change. You know, when those that, you know, one or two directors have still work with film, film. Everybody's gone digital. And I remember when digital came, everybody said, oh my God, that's horrible, that's horrible. Why are you going digital? Now you cannot make a film without being digital. You want to go further back? When sound came in, they said cinema is dead. So we just don't like change. I mean, I'm much older than you. I can tell you when tractors came in, they said the farmers are over. It's true. So we hate change. What's happening with AI is this change at a pace we don't even ever imagine it could change at that pace. So if you can handle chaos, if you can handle change, you'll adapt. If you can't, it'll invert and somebody else will come up, you know, keep going like this. But so that'll happen to me if I don't change. So I'm desperately trying to learn how to prompt films, because that 15-year-old or 14-year-old girl sitting in a computer shop right now, she's going to come and compete with me with like that iconism that we've developed over our lives. It's gone. We've got to start all over again.
Oh dear. Right. A happier question.
It's actually a very happy question. Democracy here.
True. But I guess I'm old. I feel redundant already.
There's a lady there.
Yeah, go on.
Hi, my passion and just like writing in secrecy, what would you say, like if, like you said, you know, we have to start all over again, what would you say is like the number one piece of advice that you would want to give either your younger self or someone that's starting off, not just with age, but also just like a younger author in terms of like your writing life, your creative life?
Well, that wasn't advice. It was a warning to myself. And hey, if you're just starting out, what could be better? Everything's changing. That's the best time to start out with. Every other ship is drowning, so you can get your ship across. No, it's true. Yeah, it's great. This is a new world that's coming in. And adapt to it, love it. Actually love it, embrace it, go with it.
True. I guess we don't have a choice.
No, it's exciting.
Yeah, we have to.
It's really exciting.
Get excited about it. Sarah, what do you feel?
I think I would agree with him, which is love it. But love it. Love what you're doing and love it really hard, because it hurts sometimes, and you're going to be sat there looking at a word, hating it, wondering why, out of all the words possible, you chose that one. And why honestly, the self-loathing will be like a tidal wave, but you have to keep at it. And you have to be prepared to sort of go, God, this hurts. God, I'm terrible. God, I hate myself. Oh, there. Because when you sit there and you push and you push and you push, suddenly something goes muscular and it flexes, and there's your story. And then the rest of the world will fall away from you and you'll follow it. That's what I'd say.
True.
You know, every day when I've been... all my life when I've gone to shoot, every day I have one thought in my mind that today they'll realize I'm a con man.
Honestly,
true, isn't it?
I swear to God, there's always that thing where you know, where you expect all the time, you expect someone to come in, put their hand on your shoulder and go, yeah, nice try, get out. Like that. And I've been all the time. Even here, I'm expecting someone to sidle in and go, yeah.
But then...
Sitting next to us, get your bag and get out. It's just the way it is. But it keeps you hungry. It keeps you hungry if you never think, I know what I'm doing. I never think I know what I'm doing. Scene to scene, I go, Christ, now what? What am I doing? Where's the story going? Why have I chosen that word? What are they doing when I can't see them? And it just keeps you hungry, and it keeps you alert, and it keeps you bouncing on the balls of your feet. Otherwise, you know what? If it's not fresh and raw and exciting, if you can't see the pulse beat in your story's neck, and you're just sitting there, I'll just knock out any old crap. Oh, seriously. Go home, you're done, you're cooked.
Yeah.
Would you not agree?
I agree.
I would say that if I don't panic every morning, I think I'm lying.
Raw panic and self-loathing.
Creative.
That's the formula.
Raw panic, self-loathing, and a real urge for carbs.
Tea. An endless supply of tea. Yeah, I agree. I mean, I write these, books which take me 4 years to research, and I am like hitting my head on the wall, saying, where is this going? Because sometimes you just can't find that. And then one day, after 3 weeks in the library, and I've gone through medical files, I'll find one story. And I'll say, yes.
Oh, I've been doing the big shop in Sainsbury's and pushing around a trolley and then I go, oh! Because I've realised that actually if you put that there and then that can happen over there, and then do you remember that bit when they said that? And you just like, and then you just can't wait to get out of the shop to sort of get home and throw all the stuff that you've bought, I don't know, in a corner.
If there's any director or prospective director, let me tell you one thing, right? That you can prepare. I prepared like a general to the next day's shoot. But there's one thing I haven't thought about, which I cannot think about, is what will the moment tell me?
Yeah.
Everything else can be prepared for, but everything can be prepared for in advance before the moment comes. And when the moment comes, you don't know what to do because you're waiting for God to speak to you. Honestly, this is the words I would not use to new filmmakers, but you're effectively waiting for the moment to say something to you. So often when I'll go to the set, I'll just, and Kate Blanchett would say, Shekhar, you're doing it again. You don't know what to do. I said, yeah, I don't. Isn't that a great thing? I don't know what to do. Let's go discover it because the moment is here.
Yeah.
That's really important.
And there's also something thrilling and volatile about, I mean, I'm not a director because I would be terrible at it, but sometimes when the words go whoosh, and you can feel them kind of roll their muscles under their pelt, and that's so exciting and volatile. So even if you had a plan for that day, it's like the thing tugs on you.
Yeah, Bob Dylan said that.
Yeah.
He said my best lyrics were written when I could write as fast as possible, when I could write faster as possible. Those were unthought of best lyrics ever. They just tumbled.
Brilliant. I have, on that note, thank you. I have been told.
I wish banking was like that, right?
Our time is up, so thank you. Give a big, big round of applause to all our guests.
Found in Adaptations. Vikas Swarup, Shekhar Kapur, Sarah Phelps, and Shobani Basu. Can I please request Councillor Blanca Jimenez to please come on stage and felicitate our guests.
Okay. Yes, now? Okay, with me? Yes, please. Not forward.
Stop. One more is coming. While it comes, can I please request Blanca to say a few words and tell us about Valladolid, Spain, and about the festival?
It's my first time in this moment. I'm sorry. I promise to make. Okay, thank you. Okay. I promise to make better the next time. Ladies and gentlemen, dear guests, dear friends, it's easier for me to speak in a language of Cervantes, but I'm going to try in the language of Shakespeare. This festival makes it all possible. And I want to thank everyone, Teamworks team, and the JLF London organization for their kindness in giving me the opportunity to address you at this inauguration. I speak to you on behalf of the City Council of Valladolid, Spain, and I am the Councillor for Tourism, Events and City Branding, and I am responsible for the team that will make the JLF in Valladolid possible in a few days. The JLF will be held in its entirety for the first time in a Spanish-speaking country. This is a historic edition in the world. I am accompanied by representatives of institutions that are essential in this project, such as the House of India Foundation, hello, Guillermo, the only one of its kind in all of Southern Europe, and the University of Valladolid, hi, Paloma, one of the oldest academic institutions in our country. On behalf of all of them and the professionals who are preparing everything in Spain, so that the festival is a success in accordance with the prestige of the initiative. I wish you a wonderful event in this capital of the UK. I invite you all to learn about the new festival proposal in Valladolid, which will hold the traditional characteristics of the JLF, but at the same time will be full of the uniqueness of an ancient culture such as the Spanish one. A culture spread throughout the world and which is expressed in a language that is already spoken by more than 600 million people on all continents. Thank you very much again, and I hope to see you all in the land of the best literature in Spanish, like Cervantes, Delibes, the most traditional arts, the best wines, this is important thing too, and the best gastronomy, which are, as you all know, the necessary ingredients for a long and happy life. Thank you so much, and see you in Valladolid.
Thank you, Blanca, Paloma, our festival partners, Guillermo and Juan, for coming all the way from Madrid to here in London. And thank you so much, everyone. Thank you for supporting the arts. See you tomorrow morning right here at the British Library at 10 a.m.
Madrid and Valladolid beckon in June as JLF Valladolid in Spain presents its second stellar edition.
How different is Indian mafia from any other mafia? And I think what you do, bringing all your Indian writers here to us, to speak to us, is going to contribute hugely to that change of a scenario.
I hadn't planned to be an actor. Acting used to be a hobby of mine. A fertilization of minds takes place. People with great intellect, great sensitivity, great ability to express themselves gather, interact with each other, inspire each other, help create new ideas for each other, and become a catalyst for each other.
Spain hasn't had a significant presence in India, and India has never had a significant presence in Spain. And so for JLF to reach out in this way, it's actually building a bridge across a chasm. And I think it's absolutely wonderful to see this happening.
You see, it makes a difference who's writing the story. Being a writer, an Indian writer in Spain, there have been very few avenues to connect. And finally, we're going to have the forum, which is going to make that possible.
People's identity was no longer thought of in terms of religion. JLF is just fantastic, and I think that wherever it goes, it has a positive impact. So here, as elsewhere, I think it's been a tremendous experience, both for those of us who often come to JLF and for the people of Valladolid who haven't had the experience until today.
A magical long weekend immersed in literature, history, cuisine, and the richly interwoven traditions of India and Spain.